Today we're talking 6 months with the Sony A7S III, followed by a head nod and a blues rock and roll intro. Alright, first off guys, before we get started, I just want to say this is a combination of Peter Lindgren, Matty Hodgepodge, and Gerald Undone. Essentially 3 hours of watching YouTube videos compiled into hopefully less than 5 minutes. So let's get right into it. This first section is going to be mostly about the custom keys that I have set that I think are super beneficial. The first one's going to be the zebra key. As you see, I have C1 mapped to my zebra key selector. This will help you really nail your exposure pretty quickly. As you can see, whenever I first pressed it, it was all blown out on the left, this little image here. So yeah, I think it's a super beneficial key to have set up, and I use C1 as my zebra display. And I'll show you guys how to map it real quick. You just go to this little toolbox, Operation Customize, and then for both the photo and video options, you can set it to what is it? It's going to be number 4 on the rear. So number 4, camera display select. So yeah, highly recommend using that one. Super beneficial for getting your exposure correct. Okay, the next one's going to be the picture profile select. First of all, this is a 10-bit camera, and if you're not using 10-bit, you definitely should be, and you should also be using picture profile, at least S-Log3. So you can kind of get the full dynamic range out of the actual camera itself. I know it's kind of a pain to color grade later in post, but man, if you really want to take advantage of the camera, you gotta be using a picture profile. So I have mine set as C3, this little button here in the upper left, and basically whenever I press it, I can just kind of switch between the picture profiles pretty quickly, and I have picture profile 1 set to S-Log3. So yeah, make sure you have that set up. Super beneficial. And to get that custom key set up, it's going to be, again, kind of through this little toolbox, Operation Customize, then through the video custom key, you're going to select the rear picture profile is number 5, and that falls under the exposure color tone picture profile. So if you need to find it and hunt it down, that's where it is. Okay, the next one is going to be Gamma Assist Display. Now this is going to tie number 1 and 2 in all together. Basically, it allows you to quickly get an idea of what your image is going to look like in post whenever you start applying in color grade. And if you never really know what your footage can look like while you're actually using your camera outside, run and gun, this is an easy way to quickly understand what it could look like after you apply like a LUT. If you have a custom key, it's going to be under rear 2, Gamma Assist Display Select. And in my type that I have it selected to is the S-Log3 because I'm using the S-Log3 profile. But to find the Gamma Display Assist, it's going to be under here, under the toolbox display button, or Gamma Display Assist Select. And I have the bottom button set to the type, or it's the left button. So as I hit the left button, then you can see all the different assist types, but I have it set to S-Log3 because I'm using an S-Log3 picture profile right now. That one was a pro tip from Peter Lindgren, so shout out to Peter Lindgren. Thanks so much for sharing that with us. But yeah, so anyways, the next one's going to be presets 1, 2, and 3. So you can have the video mode set to a preset regarding your frame rate and your resolution, and I have mine currently set to 4K 10-bit XAVC-SI 4K, and so the movie setting is 24 frames per second. Yeah, so I have this set up for my regular video mode, and then I have numbers 1, 2, and 3 all set to 30, 60, and 120 frames per second respectively. I think that this is the best way to kind of have it set up because it allows you to switch between these higher frame rates. The only thing is, for number 3, as you see, it is going to be a different format. It is XAVC-HS and 4K 120. It's still 10-bit. Okay, so what I was saying is I have the option 1, 2, and 3 set to 30 frames in 4K, 60 frames, and 120 frames in 4K respectively. Reason why is because you can slow down 30 frames per second, 80%. It looks like really dreamy. You can do that in a 24 frames per second timeline, and same thing with 60 and 120 frames per second. 60 frames per second you can slow down 40%, which still looks really good, and it doesn't take up a lot of space and storage on your actual memory card. And 120 frames per second is just a monster whenever it comes to consuming data. You can still really get some nice slow motion in 60 frames per second, but if I really want to make something super slow-mo, I'll use 120 frames per second, and that can be slowed down 20% in post if you're using a 24 frame per second timeline. Okay, just to quickly show you guys how to set this up in your presets number 1, 2, and 3, you're just going to go to File, Format, and then choose XAVC-SI 4K, and for your movie setting, 30 frames per second, And then what you'll do, you'll go to shooting mode, camera set memory, and then just press the OK button, this little middle button, and it'll save that setting to whichever one. Don't forget to adjust your shutter speed to double the actual frame rate. So 120 is set to 250, 60 frames is set to 125 as the shutter speed, and 30 frames is just doubled up to 60 on the shutter speed. So yeah, make sure you do that as well. And I think that there's only one other little thing I was going to tell you about, and that is going to be tailoring your picture profile, which is going to be set to S-Log3 and the color mode as S-Gamut Cine. This is going to be the one to give you the best, I guess, proper colors or proper setup for your picture profile. I got this from Gerald Undone. If you want to watch that video, he explains all about it. And I have the level of detail set to -7. This is super important. So the reason why the level is set to -7 is basically because it does some sharpening inside of the camera that you don't want, because it creates artifacts that are undesired. So you can always edit that stuff in post and give your shots more detail later on, but it's better to not let the camera do that, and Gerald Undone talks about that as well. Okay, that's pretty much it. I do have one last one, which is a bonus. It is basically setting your joystick to silent mode to turn it on and off between silent mode. This is something that if you really want to take some photos or videos without other people knowing, you can kind of switch it between silent mode on and off, and it's super easy and quick and convenient. So for that one, if you go to the custom buttons, operation customize, and then for either video or photo, you just go down to switch silent mode, number 1, rear 2. So yeah, this will be found under the camera button, shutter silent, switch silent mode. Super beneficial and can be a lifesaver. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video or found something useful out of it, please click the like button below. And if you want more of these videos where I share Sony A7S III tips and tricks, consider clicking the subscribe button. And I'll see you guys all very, very soon. Thanks guys.